It's the heart of winter, and Air Station Sitka is the lifeline for people across southeastern Alaska. The Coast Guard strains to hear a hunter's call for help.
Person calling Coast Guard, request that you speak louder right into the radio, over.
And the crew races to medevac a woman in labor before she gives birth.
You ever delivered a baby before? I have not. Hey, Chief, it'll be a first for all of us.
The vast Alaskan wilderness, a place where beauty is cloaked by danger. Here, every day, 350 highly trained men and women risk their lives to save others. America's deadliest waters are protected by Coast Guard Alaska.
Sector Juno 6034, that's a good copy. He does have a handheld radio and you are unable to get in contact with him. That's something that we will try. 6034, stand by, channel 21 and 16, out.
We had just taken off for a local area trainer, actually. We were just gonna fly around and do some pattern work. Shortly after takeoff, we heard from Sector Juno that there was a hunter who was stranded over by Rodman Bay and unable to get to his boat. As we approached Rodman Bay, we tried to contact the hunter on channel 16.
Person calling Coast Guard, we are on channel 16, over.
We could hear a little bit of static, and we could tell that he was trying to contact us, but his radio was just so weak that he couldn't reach the helicopter.
Are you guys able to hear him? No, tell him to speak up really loud into it. Person calling Coast Guard, we have you very faint over the radio. Request that you speak louder right into the radio, over.
Okay, I'm just right off of your shotgun side.
Guys hear that? All right, I'm going to come down to the left for descending and then start the beach line in towards Rodman. Roger. A couple fish boats out here.
He came up on the radio and said that he had us in sight and spoke to us on the radio and essentially vectored us into his position.
I think I got him in sight, 12:30 now, behind a log maybe. I think that's him off the nose. And roll out, yeah, that's something moving, that's a person.
Okay, inside.
Yeah, there he is.
Okay.
Lots of places to land.
Yeah, why don't we do that so we can go talk to him, see how he's doing.
When I first saw him down on the beach, he was down by a log, and I just thought, no tent, no nothing. This guy's cold. This guy's wet. I just felt really, really sorry for him when I saw him down there. I didn't know how long he'd been out there, so.
Clear, move easy down. Easy down. Tail wheels on deck. Ease down. Base are on deck. He's at 1 o'clock.
So we landed on the beach and I got out of the helicopter and I made my way over towards him, and I could tell right away that he was pretty cold and looking a little miserable. So I could tell he kind of wanted off the island and wanted to get back home.
His friends dropped him off in the boat. He stayed overnight, and this morning he was supposed to get picked up by his friends. And due to the tide and everything, they were unable to get in here and pick him up. So he's been out here for a long time. It's nasty weather, so it's pretty cold, and he's excited to get a ride home.
I don't like calling for help, but I felt this was the time I needed to.
Okay, so you're all good at that? Awesome.
When Cam started bringing the patient to the aircraft, I just saw Cam holding him by the arm, helping him navigate his way through the rocks. The guy was obviously, to me, he's very cold. He couldn't move too well. I was surprised he was out there by himself.
When I brought TJ in the helicopter, my main concern was just rewarming him because he was just really, really cold, and you could just see on his facial expression that he wasn't very comfortable. So we turned on the heater and then gave him some blankets.
This guy's a trooper. He stayed overnight out here. It's unreal. Yeah, that's a tough night. All right, I'm buckled in. Thanks. Let us know when you're ready to take off.
So the survivor, TJ, he stayed out there with no shelter or anything, which is pretty crazy because the weather the night before was just absolutely insane with the winds and all the snow coming down.
10 minutes out. Roger that.
I just checked his vitals just to make sure that, his heart was working properly and that sort of thing.
My name is David Chumsland. People that know me call me TJ, and I am from Sitka, Alaska. To be real honest with you, I don't know what the outcome would have been had they not come pick me up. The tide was out, and there's no way I could have got the boat to the water. I sat on my seat cushion under my space blanket for the night. I like to think I'm tough and a survivor. But for me to call for help, it takes a lot for me to do that. And I called, and they came. And they treated me with respect. And I appreciate that.
He says he doesn't have a ride home. Is there any way we can call a cab for him from here? Yeah, we can do that. There might be even somebody be willing to give him a ride on base. Yeah, actually, we have somebody in the back that says they'll do it. Camera dude wants to do it. All right. Awesome. You can always call any of the people. Thanks, camera dude.
Report ready for approach.
Guys ready? Ready for approach.
Oftentimes when we get called out, it's when the situation's really, really critical. It's nice that at this point, we've got a tough gentleman out there. He's able to take care of himself, but he also knows when it's time to call for help. We weren't surprised to find him out there hunting. The people in Southeast Alaska are pretty tough people and aren't really ones to sit around on the couch.
TJ was a little embarrassed at first to get rescued, you could tell, as most people are. You don't want to have to rely on somebody else to pull you out of a situation, but we don't judge anybody. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you out if, when you're in need.
Dogs. Name's Lieutenant Brooks Crawford, off duty today. This is my wife, Caitlin, and we're gonna take our pups for a walk here, and then shortly after that, we're gonna load up the boats and go for a paddle. You wanna switch? Okay. The weather's actually really, really nice today, kind of unexpected, and we often say that since it rains here a lot in Sitka, if you don't get out and take advantage of the really nice days, then you don't have any reason to complain on the rainy days. What do you think, right about here? All right. As a pilot at Air Station Sitka, we do a lot of different missions, everything from aids to navigation, medevacs, long-range search and rescue. It can be a little stressful at times, so it's pretty important, I think, on days like this to just get out, paddle around. Why don't we try going down there?
Mostly when I'm out kayaking with Brooks, I'm looking for whales and sea lions and all sorts of cool animals and enjoying the mountains. They're snow-capped right now, so it looks really cool. You can see Mount Edgecombe, the volcano, and just enjoy being in Alaska.
We were also testing out a potential rescue swimmer airman. And that's somebody that wants to become a rescue swimmer.
All the way up, all the way up, all the way up. Come on, not there. Lock him, lock him.
Just wanted to advise you guys that we are going to divert you for SAR.
When we heard that there was somebody in trouble, a definite mission and a place to be, we definitely turned it up.
And away we go.
Okay, push-ups. You've done this before. You can do it again, right? Don't worry about this. Don't worry about us. Just go do it. All right?
All right, push-ups.
Today we have our monthly PT test, and every month we have to do a certain set of push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and we do a swim, and then we do some buddy toes. While we're doing our PT test, we were also testing out a potential rescue swimmer airman, and that's somebody that wants to become a rescue swimmer. So she has to do the same PT mins that we did earlier, and she's just kind of getting herself a base level to see where she's at and how physically fit she is for her job.
49. 50, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. Come on, Katrina, not there.
There have been a handful of women to do this job as rescue swimmers. I can count 4 right now that are out there doing the job. What's unique about this job, there's no special consideration. The job has no gender, has no color, has nothing. It's can you do it or can't you do it?
Lock him, lock him, lock him. Got it, got it. There. Good job. All right.
My name is Katrina Hetrick, and I'm a seaman at Air Station Sitka. To me, it's important to become a rescue swimmer because it's been my lifelong goal. This was my first test for physical preparedness to be a rescue swimmer. The purpose of me taking the PT test was to see if I was ready to go to the airman program. And the first week you're there, you're going to take that same test. If you fail out, you go back into the fleet, and then you're on that list again. So they want to make sure I can do it before I leave. And I'll be testing out from now every 2 weeks until I leave.
59. Come on, Katrina, get it. Get it, get it, get it. 60. Yeah.
The sit-ups were pretty bad. I made it through the 60, but barely. Struggled way too much for my own good.
One more, don't hang, just go. Come on, come on, come on, come on, don't hang. Come on, go, 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 go. Get it. Come on, come on, come on.
Good.
Well, you know what you need to work on.
This isn't an in or out thing. This is for you to figure out what you need to do. All right?
You're almost there.
Don't get discouraged. You're doing really, really well. It's really critical for us to stay physically fit because our job basically boils down to 20 minutes in the ocean trying to save as many people as possible. It's hard work, it's tough work, it's fast work, and you need to be physically fit for that.
At the end of the workout, Chief was talking to me, and he was basically giving me pointers. He was giving me, like, this is what you need to work on. Core is the biggest thing, and just, he wanted to be as motivating as possible.
She's got plenty of time. I wanted to do it right away, so we have to take that. That's why. Okay, great.
After I really had to think it through, I was like, okay, all you could do is get better from this and just take their words and use them.
Coast Guard 6030, this is Sector requesting position, over.
Sector Juno 6030 on approach. Cape Decision Lighthouse, over.
30, this is Coast Guard Sector Juno, roger, I copy, on approach to Cape Decision Lighthouse. I just wanted to advise you guys that we are going to divert you for SAR. The plan is for you to divert to Angoon for Medevac. How on that, over?
That's a good copy on that. And away we go. Haven't had a medevac in a while.
We were actually out on a routine patrol. We were down at Cape Decision Lighthouse to go look for a piece of equipment that somebody left there. And Sector Juno called us and let us know that there was a 70-year-old man in the town of Angoon who had abdominal pains and some body swelling. The dynamic definitely changes when you hear that you have a medevac or a search and rescue case. Most of the small villages here in Southeast Alaska only have a small clinic, so when someone's life is on the line, the Coast Guard is their only means of transport to higher care. When we heard that there was somebody in trouble, a definite mission and a place to be, yeah, we definitely turned it up.
Up, here comes the snow. Well, neat. Well, you thought it was going to be easy? It looks like it's picking it up. Yeah, this sucks. Yep.
The weather changes a lot when you're flying around in Southeast Alaska. It could be really beautiful weather here, and then you turn around the corner and you could hit a wall of fog or just a really intense snow band, and then beyond that on the other side, it could be really nice.
Hey, John, next time you talk to District, can you ask them to make sure that Angoon has plowed their ball field? Roger.
Angoon doesn't have an airfield. It's just a small community. We actually have to land in a football field there. It's the only place they have to land. So the Coast Guard is their only means of transport to higher care.
Again, Angoon sight off the nose here. All right, I'm gonna fly over once. We'll take a look at it. Make a right turn out, and then we'll set up for a land. Sounds good. Yep, they plowed it.
Once we got to Angoon, the weather was really nice. And we were also lucky that they plowed the field before we landed.
This looks good there, sir. All right, coming down. Nice and slow. Clear, easy down. 5 feet off deck. Man on deck.
We landed in Angoon. The patient wasn't actually at the ball field at the time, so we had to send our swimmer out.
There was a man in Angoon who had abdominal pains and some body swelling.
Man on deck.
We landed in Angoon. The patient wasn't actually at the ball field at the time, so we had to send our swimmer out with the ambulance to go pick him up at their clinic.
There was an ambulance truck. It's basically a pickup truck they had converted with a shell on the back. They have room for a gurney back there. We're picking up a patient from the clinic, 70-year-old male, abdominal pains and bloating. So we'll see what kind of condition he's in, and we're going to transport him back to Sitka.
Better?
Yeah,
I do.
It's good to have as much information, on the ground and get a good set of vitals, and it's really helpful if we have a small clinic or something we're taking the patient out of to get that baseline, before we take them away. Fortunately, the patient was stable, had good vitals. He was calm and sedated.
It shouldn't be too long before we get to Sitka. It's about a half-hour transit, okay? It'll be pretty quick.
There was a really large community turnout once we landed. A lot of them actually got out and helped move the guy to our plane. And it was really cool. Like, you can tell they truly take care of each other. Right as we were getting the patient in, the weather got really crappy again, and we tried to get out of there as fast as possible.
Patients in the cabin. All right, you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Coast Guard Sector Juno from Coast Guard Rescue 6030. We have departed Angoon and anticipate being on deck in Sitka in approximately 30 minutes.
This is Coast Guard Sector Juno. Good copy on all. Sector out. Coast Guard Hilo Angoon VPSO. I'd like to extend a thank you to you for the Medevac. We really appreciate it. Considering the weather conditions, you guys are really great. We really appreciate it again.
Angoon Coast Guard Helicopter 6030. Glad we could help, sir, and thanks a lot for plowing the ball field. We appreciate it. And you take care.
You guys fly safe. We'll talk to you later. Angoon VPSO, out.
It definitely makes us feel good to know that all these small communities here in Southeast Alaska rely on us. We're really happy to be here. This is an awesome town. We love Sitka, love Southeast Alaska.
How's the patient doing?
Resting.
Awesome.
Resting soundly.
Good. Got Sitka in sight. Crew report ready for approach.
Ready for approach, sir.
Roger.
It was a night when we landed in Sitka, so there was quite a bit of snow still on the runway, so we were blowing that around, but we shut down and they transferred the patient to the ambulance.
I'm Johnny Jack. I'm 70 years old and I'm from Angoon. I was really suffering really bad. I tried everything, to get rid of the pain, but I couldn't. See, I kept getting worse. But I'm sure glad about the Coast Guard, though. They saved my life.
I'm going to go with them.
It's definitely a good feeling to know that we picked somebody up who couldn't get here otherwise, got him to higher level medical care, and that he's going to be in good shape tonight because of our flight.
We received a phone call to pick up a man that's having heart problems.
The doc said his window for treatment is 6 hours or less.
We have limited care in the helicopter, so the scariest part for me is if something was to go terribly wrong with the patient.
I'm pretty nervous for tomorrow's PT test because so much rides on it.
You definitely don't want to cut it that close, okay?
We received a phone call in the operations center here at Air Station Sitka to launch a ready helicopter to Hoonah to pick up a man that's having heart problems. So we're going to go from here to Hoonah with the ready helicopter with a corpsman aboard, pick up the patient, and then get him to higher health care.
Hey, Rob, when you call Juneau, tell them to confirm destination of the patient and what hospital we're going to if he needs to go to the closest hospital. The doc said his window for treatment is 6 hours or less. He can't wait for first light to go.
Tonight at Air Station Sitka, we got a call for a medevac out of the village of Hoonah for a cardiac patient who was the provider on the ground in Hoonah was worried the patient could be having unstable angina. And we are sending HS to Christina McRoberts, who in addition to her corpsman training and her AMS training has been through the Army Flight Medic course and has advanced cardiac life support level of training.
Do you have any updates on the patient?
What did you get from the flight surgeon?
Oh, I just heard a 7-year-old male with a heart attack, and to grab the ACLS gear.
We have limited care in the helicopter, so the scariest part for me is if something was to go terribly wrong with the patient.
Christina, how far of a transit is it from the airport to the clinic there?
Probably like a fourth of a mile. That's from one end of town to the other.
So for Southeast Alaska, there's really 3 communities that have hospitals, those being Sitka, Juneau, and Ketchikan. So our typical profile is to go to smaller towns, get a patient that's in trouble, and bring it to that intermediate level of care at one of those 3 places.
Do we know those? Are we us on the ground with an ambulance?
You can call the sector and ask them if we can set that up.
Hoonah has a clinic. They cannot handle the heart attack with the care he needs. He needed to get out to a hospital.
Sector Juneau from Rescue 3-4. Roger, good copy on all. There will be an ambulance on scene. And be advised, our ETA is 35 mics.
Yeah, I anticipate. We know they just had a little snow squall push through, so I bet it's going to be snowy on the runway. Do they have pilot control lighting there, or is that a no-light runway?
I think that's a no-light runway.
As we got closer to the airport, we knew that still had some snow on the actual runway. And that's always an issue for us because with snow comes the possibility of a whiteout landing and you lose all your visibility. You know you're close to things that could contact the aircraft, so it's something that all helicopter pilots are concerned about.
But sector know that we're going to be...
yeah, tell them we're about 30 seconds out landed.
Okay, roger that.
And we'll call them when airborne.
Roger. And crew report ready for approach. Roger. I think I see the ambulance in the building over to the left. There we go. And we got a clear way all the way to the ambulance.
Once we arrived in Hoonah, we got the helicopter stopped in the middle of the ramp, and the ambulance was standing by at the gate to the ramp area. The rescue swimmer and the corpsman left the helicopter and walked over to the ambulance to meet with the town EMS personnel.
When we got there, the guy was in a lot better shape than I had hoped he could be. He was in no pain, and he had been given the proper medications.
How's the general condition of the patient?
Good. He's been pain-free for about 3 hours, so better than I could have hoped for. He's good for transport.
Okay, so we're going to go to blue light back there for you. Is that cool?
I am good to go, sir.
Roger.
Because you can't hear each other on the helicopter, So I gave him specific instructions of numbers to tell me about it, any pain if he was having any, to point to where it was, or just thumbs up if he was still doing good.
We'll expect to be at Sitka at 1000 Zulu.
And Coast Guard Sector Juneau, Rescue 6034, be advised, we are airborne from Hoonah.
We got airborne coming back here to Sitka. The weather had actually improved. Visibility was great. A little bumpy though. I know that Rob and Christina probably got jostled around a little bit in the back taking care of the patient, but they were all pretty happy.
Well, Larry, very good.
They're getting the gurney ready. They're gonna bring it over here, and then we'll transfer it over there. How you feeling? All right.
It's a big team effort to get it accomplished. Everybody knows their job very well. Everybody's very good at their job, and it just usually goes pretty well.
Welcome to Sitka. We'll be taking to the hospital. Got a nice report from the medic there. We're gonna get you over there and take a look at you, okay?
All right. So this is Greg. He's gonna take good care of you, all right? I know him. I work with him.
I had a very short time to build a solid relationship, but you get in there, you introduce yourself, let them know what you're there for, and hope that it all goes well.
Doing medevacs in Southeast Alaska is a fairly satisfying mission in that it's very concrete. We go, we get someone, we help them. And knowing that these villages don't necessarily have a lot of resources and these people are in need of transport, it's pretty satisfying to get somebody back and get them to the care that they need.
I think Alaska in general, you find lots of close-knit people out in the villages who are very willing to help their community member, neighbor, relative in an emergency. It makes it very rewarding to support people like that who are willing to step forward for their community members.
Today we're just going to do a little training. As all of us who've been in the back of the helicopter can attest, success in the back in the dark means knowing where your gear is and how to find it.
I'm Commander Leslie Wood, the unit flight surgeon at Air Station Sitka, and we're doing IV training in the swimmer shop today.
We're going to give you a patient scenario and some equipment to find, and you have to find it quickly. Sort yourself into 2 groups. I'd love a mix of swimmers and corpsmen in each group since you're naturally going to be a team that would work together. We'll have Chris Belisle running stations and Christina McRoberts.
The training today is for the rescue swimmers and the corpsmen. We try to have 2 sets of medical hands on medevac missions, and that would generally be a swimmer who's part of the base crew and then augment it with a corpsman. So those folks are training together, getting used to working as pairs.
So average person for morphine, my general rule of thumb that I assume to start with is 2 milligrams. I rely on the rescue swimmers a lot. They're very good at what they do. We kind of depend on each other in the helicopter. We feed off of each other, so we kind of work together very well, and it typically works out great. And this is also really nice because then when you're writing up, you can write down your first few blood pressures and everything, and then you can just say, see run report. Overall, with the other corpsmen, if there's something that could have been done better or differently, usually we'll bring it up and use it as a learning experience.
All right, 42-year-old male with asthma, exacerbation, wheezing, and shortness of breath. Go. Let's take Rob with the glucose first, and then we'll start an IV on him.
Did you want us to take him, Nicole, with the glucometer?
See on your fingers?
Yes, ma'am. What we try to do to make this as real as possible is make it a tight configuration, especially when we start turning out the lights. That's most of our transports are late at night, no lights in the plane, so most of this stuff is usually done by chem lights or little flashlights that have a green bulb in them. Oh, look at that. Oof.
Oh, that was like butter, John. Dude, that was the best IV I've ever felt.
My personal philosophy in training for this job, whether it's just working out or swimming or starting IVs at night, is you gotta do it. I mean, our job is to remain calm in a world of chaos. If you're confident, you're cool, you're collected, You got the job done.
Any other thoughts? Anybody figure anything out that might help us all function better?
I think Mike discovered how much of a mess and how things can get lost easily within your mess.
Yeah, you're right.
The rescue swimmer and the corpsman bring different skills to the table, so it is especially important to have them training together. We will save more lives using the combined skills of the rescue swimmer and the corpsman.
When I hear that woman's water has already broken, so yeah, the clock's counting, so I think everybody was a little trepidatious that, yeah, there might be a baby in the back of our aircraft.
You ever delivered a baby before?
I have not. AC, so it'll be a first for all of us.
Back straight, your 3 points of contact, right? Explode your hips forward. Hips forward.
Like that?
A little better, a little. Roll forward.
We're training for the Airman program. The Airman program is like pre-A school for the ASTs and any aviation rating, just something to get you ready for the rescue swimmer school.
Okay. Just work. We'll work on it.
Hetrix is training to be a Coast Guard rescue swimmer. She starts the program in another month or so, and this is kind of like a build-up phase for her, something that we're doing for her to help her along.
I'm pretty nervous for tomorrow's PT test because so much rides on it, but I feel prepared. I've been working out and I've been taking all the AST's advice, so I know I'm ready. I just gotta buckle down and do it.
Myself and the guys in the shop, we all worked with Katrina. Today we're doing a final test. If she passes, she'll be able to proceed on to Elizabeth City for the Airman program. And then rescue swimmer A school.
Ready? Begin.
Her test today is going to start with 50 push-ups, go right into 60 sit-ups, then 5 pull-ups, 5 chin-ups.
Someone's been doing their homework. Can I get an oorah? Oorah. Nice.
Well, the training has paid off so far. With all the help that the ASTs have given me, I've improved tremendously. So there's always more room for improvement.
Then off to the track, she's got to run 1.5 miles under 12 minutes.
Ready?
Yeah.
Begin. So the first time she did her PT screen, it kind of caught her off guard. This is a new program to pre-screen the airmen to go to the airman program, and just better ensure that when they get to the airman program that they'll be able to perform at their best, you know, and have a better chance of getting it through. Go, go, go! 15 seconds to spare. You definitely don't want to cut it that close, okay?
Yeah. It being a male-dominant field, there's always going to be that stress. But at the same time, there's a reason it's open to the females too. You know, if you can do it, go for it.
Then she goes to the pool. She's got some 500 yards under 12 minutes.
Begin.
Katrina did well. She did well. We're happy to see her going on to that next step, and she'll be going to Elizabeth City to start the Airman program.
All right, good job.
I passed it and did good in it. Chief has instilled his confidence in me, and he has written to the chiefs over there that, hey, this girl's ready to go. So if I weren't ready to go, it wouldn't look just bad for me, it'd look bad for him. I'd love to come back to Alaska. Once I make swimmer, you gotta have that confidence. So one day I'm sure I'll return. Okay.
put the ready helo online. Now put the ready helo online. Medevac, Haynes to Juneau. Now put the ready helo online. My name is Tiffany. We just got a call from district, a 27-year-old female going into labor, water has broken. In Haynes, we're gonna need to pick her up and go to Juneau, to a hospital that is able to deliver her baby.
Haynes is a town about 130 miles north of here. So we quickly got changed out and went down and got the aircraft going.
When I hear that a woman's water has already broken, we weren't sure, no one was sure how far along in her pregnancy she was, but when the water breaks, you basically have 12 hours for the kid to come out. So yeah, the amount of time it's gonna take us to start, get airborne, get over there, clock's counting, so I think everybody was a little trepidatious that, yeah, there might be a baby in the back of our aircraft.
ETA is 2200 local, over.
Roger, 2200 local. Talk to you in 1-5, sector out.
You ever delivered a baby before?
I have not. Hey, Chief, it'll be a first for all of us.
Delivered a couple.
Have you?
No.
For this case, we are taking a corpsman. It just provides a higher level of medical care in the back, more opinions. It just makes it safer for the patient during the transfer to have a medical corpsman with us.
When I hear a woman in labor, I'm worried about any sort of complications that the pregnancy could be having. Is the child coming out the wrong way? Or is there a problem with the mother? Was there some sort of internal bleeding? And you're also worried about not only the life of the mother, but the well-being of the child.
We got a call from district, a 27-year-old female going into labor, water has broken. In Haynes, we're gonna need to pick her up and go to Juneau, to a hospital that is able to deliver her baby.
ETA is 2200 local, over.
Roger, 2200 local.
When I hear a woman in labor, I'm worried about any sort of complications that the pregnancy could be having. Is the child coming out the wrong way? Or is there a problem with the mother? Was there some sort of internal bleeding? And you're also worried about not only the life of the mother, but the well-being of the child.
Hold us to a low air taxi down the runway.
The only issue with weather tonight is going to be it snowed recently in Haynes, and it's just a matter of whether the runway has been plowed or not. So coming in, if it has been plowed, even if it has been plowed, with light, airy snow, as we come in, we kick up a lot of wind, and we can get into a whiteout condition.
This thing looks plowed.
Coast Guard 6034, 6034, Coast Guard Sector Juneau, cross opposite position.
Yeah, this thing is plowed. You can go ahead and secure the guard.
Roger. Doors coming open. Doors open. Oh yeah, that's really nice.
It would appear that quite possibly the ambulance, yep, it's here.
We get to Haynes, we land, we did start to white out a little bit, which made the landing a little bit more difficult. We taxi in, the ambulance was there waiting for us. Our medical personnel got out, went over to the ambulance.
So you ready to go to the hospital? Yeah. Okay. Let's get you out of here.
Got the patient loader up and we were off.
Are you doing okay? Okay.
There was already an IV connected to her, so we just kept that going. And one of the main things is we just wanted to keep her comfortable and warm.
We should be on deck in 20 minutes.
Are we gonna have EMS standing by?
Yep.
Roger.
When I got assigned to Alaska, I didn't think I'd be doing all these medevacs out of villages. Thought
Bad weather, big waves, thought we'd be doing a lot of stuff out to sea. Here in Southeast, though, the bulk of what we do is medevacs out of these villages, and it is a pretty big responsibility for the air station to be sometimes the only provider to get patients from the villages to a higher level of care that they do need.
Cooper, ready for approach. Ready for approach. Doc, are you going to go to the hospital?
I think I'm going to jump in, yeah.
Okay. When we got to Juneau, ambulance was waiting, fire department was there to help out. We shut down the aircraft as quick as we could and handed the patient off to local EMS.
I love being a rescue swimmer because you just never know what you're going to get any given day, whether it's going to be delivering a baby in the back of the helicopter or picking somebody up off a boat. So it's a fun job. After we gave the patient off to the EMS, we definitely did talk about it, and we're like, oh man, that was pretty close. Like, the lady could have gave birth in the back of the helicopter.
My name is Lisa Seeley, and I live in Haines. I've lived in Haines most of my life. I ended up delivering George at 7:06 in the morning. Yeah, I couldn't have asked for a healthier baby, a better labor. Everything went really, really well. My fiance and I are very, very grateful the Coast Guard came and got me.
Alaska is a great place to work. You get to get out into these communities and see folks who give it their all for each other and are willing to step out and help each other in event of emergency. I think getting to interact with those people and come in when it's dark or the weather's bad, you know you're going to be the only option to get that patient to a higher level of care and potentially save their life is extremely rewarding.